All right, so we trimmed our sample, we found out the proper tempo, and we've saved it to a free flex slot so it's no longer stuck in that track recorder. The next thing I want to do is something more than just simply looping it. So I'm going to revisit the edit menu for our sample, hold my track, press edit, and I want to talk about slicing audio. Octatrack can slice audio in a totally non-destructive way. So we can rearrange the slices, we can add more, take slices away. We can do all of this without actually creating any new files or harming the sample that we currently have. So what I'd like to do is basically slice this so that I can play it in some different, more creative kind of ways. I'm in the sample edit menu and I've chosen slice. This second white button is underneath the slice menu and slice is right here. Now by default, we don't really see anything other than the sample, but if I hold function and press edit when I'm in the slice menu, I get different options. So I could add a slice wherever my cursor is currently at. I can delete slices. I can create a slice grid, which means that I can place a certain number of slices that are evenly spaced apart. And I think that's probably what I want to do for this particular sample. I've trimmed it so that it's a perfect 2 bars in length. And if it's 2 bars, if I want to trim it so that I can get a slice for each beat, it's made in a 4/4 time signature. There would be 4 beats per bar. If my sample is 2 bars long, that means that it's 8 beats long. If I create a slice grid that has 8 slices, I can basically slice this audio on specific beats, and then I can rearrange how those beats play. So what I want to do is create a slice grid. And I've already brought up the slice menu here. I see create slice grid, so I'm going to hit yes. And I have options for how many slices that I want to create. Now, the beauty of this is that it's not going to create slices for the entire sample. I didn't crop this sample, so even though we've trimmed a certain area that's going to play, the actual sample is significantly longer than what I'm hearing when I play it. Thankfully, when we enable the slice grid, it's only going to put slices in the selection of the sample. It's not going to put slices over the entire sample, just the part that we've actually selected and are playing. So let me move this down to 8 slices. I'm going to hit OK. Aligning the slices to the 0 crosses can be helpful just to eliminate any sort of pops that might be happening at the beginning or the end of the slices. So I'm going to use that. I'll hit yes. And now I can see this is the area of the sample that I selected, and I see that there are different slices placed there. So if I want to hear the different slices, I can use my arrow keys here. And when I select a slice, I can hold function and press yes. So that's the first slice. So those are my 8 slices, and I can use these 8 slices to play the beat in some sort of different way, play this sample in some unique way. Now I'm going to exit out of my edit menu here. Just hit exit. Now, how can I play the slices here? Well, like we said before, if I hold function and press my up and down arrows, I have different playback methods. And one of them allows me to play slices. So I'm going to select slices here, and I let go. Now, in order to play the slices that I've created, I have to set this track up so that I can actually access those slices. If I double tap the playback button here, this is going to bring me into an area where I can change certain settings for how this track plays. What I want to do is enable it so that I can actually play the slices on this track. And if we look over here in this area, the middle option on the top, it says slice without the E. Right now, this is off. So if I want to enable this track to play back my slices, I have to turn this on. And once I turn that on, now we see there's 8 lights down here, and these represent the 8 different slices that I created in the edit menu. So let me get out of here, exit. So now I can play this in all types of different ways. Now, before I start playing it all crazy, let's just explore some other things that we can do simply by slicing. I'm going to place some trigs into my sequence here. Hit my record button. I'm going to leave that first trig there. I slice this so that there's a slice every beat. And if we look at the trigs down here, again, I'm dealing with each step being worth a 16th note right now. And the white trigs, the ones that have white underneath them, basically fall on the beats. If each one's worth a 16th note, 4 16th notes is the equivalent of a quarter note or a beat. So I'm going to place a trig on every beat. So that's for my first page. I'm going to go to my second page of trigs here and place those there. If I play this right now, we have that first slice playing for every trig that's been entered into the sequence. Now, what I could do instead, let me go back into my edit menu, track, edit. I'm in the slice menu. I'm going to hold function and edit to go into the menu for my slices. And I have the option below creating a slice grid. It says create linear locks. What this will do is make it so that each trig that I've entered into my sequence will play the next slice. So this will play the first slice. The second trig will play slice 2. The third trig will play slice 3. And it just keeps going like that. So I'm going to hit yes to create linear locks. Alter trigs, sure, yes. And I'm going to hit play. And let me just zoom out a bit. So now you can see that we're just moving through the different slices in order. Now what's interesting about this, let me go ahead and exit out of here now. I'm going to double tap my playback button. Before I was able to enable the time stretching from the sample menu, I can also enable and disable it from here if I double tap the playback button. I'm going to turn time stretching off. So this is off now. And if I exit this, if I start to change the master tempo, each slice is still going to play on the beat it's supposed to play at. But since the audio is not time stretched, now we have those gaps in between. If I play this faster than its original tempo, same deal, except now we're not hearing gaps between those slices because they're playing faster than they normally would. But again, it's not being time stretched. Let me go ahead and bring this back to where it was, because another cool way to utilize this is now, since each beat is being triggered where it's supposed to, let's say I change the pitch. Again, right now I'm not time stretching. Time stretch is deactivated. So it's giving me some more interesting ways to kind of play around with this. If I go back into the playback mode here and I turn time stretch back on, let me exit. This rate, depending on how it's set up, can either affect the pitch or affect the time stretching rate. If I go back into my playback menu right now, rate is currently going to affect the pitch. But if I go back into playback and I change this from pitch to TSTR, that's time stretch. And now, at a rate of 32, the playback speed is going to be half of what it normally would be. So this gives us a very different rhythm now when we're playing these different slices. I could change the rate to 16. Now they're playing at 1/4 of their original speed. Now the beauty of this is that I'm still maintaining the rhythm because I've sliced the audio every beat and I place trigs in my sequence every beat. And we use linear locks so that it created slice locks for every new trig that was entered into my sequence. Now let's take this a little bit further. I'm going to go back into the edit menu, hold track, edit. And back in the slice menu, if I hold function and press edit to get to the contextual menu, below create linear locks, we have create random locks. So instead of making it so that each trig will play the next slice in order, we can make it so that each trig will play a totally random slice. So I'm going to play this. What I love about this is that you don't have to stop the sequencer to do this. So we can easily change and rearrange the pattern as it plays. So create random locks, hit yes, yes. Now we have a totally different pattern going. I'll do it again. Function, edit, create random locks. I'll go back in here, go back to the linear locks. So this is a great way to be able to manipulate the way a sample plays back. Let me get out of here. Now what I would really rather do is actually play this in a slightly different sort of rhythm. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a few more trigs here. And then if we adjust the time stretch rate, just the pitch a bit too. See how it sounds with time stretch off. All right, nice. So we've been able to take this sample, we've sliced it, we utilize linear locks to make it so that each trig will play the next slice in order. We also utilize a random lock so we can randomize which slices are played by specific trigs. And once you kind of play around with making the sequence a bit more syncopated and playing with the rhythm, those two options can lead you to some very interesting results.